What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Week 8 Front Yard Fantasy Trade Targets video. I'm Simon here with my buddy Jay, and we are about to give you 4 players that we think you should be targeting in trades right now in fantasy. Jay, we're going to come to you first for our first player.
Yeah, the first guy I'm going to go to is Keenan Allen. I've been saying it for a few weeks, and I still think he's a guy that you can buy low. He's somebody you should be targeting in trades. He's got a lot of things going for him. First off, the Chargers are throwing a lot. They're tied with the Falcons for the third most passing plays per game. They've got the seventh most passing yards and the ninth most passing touchdowns. They've already had their bye, so they're still top 10 in passing yards and passing touchdowns, even with one less game than most teams. He's first on the team in targets, first on the team in receptions, first on the team in red zone targets and red zone receptions. So even though Mike Williams has been the story of the season, he's been the guy that Herbert has thrown to the most. He is 11th in targets and receptions, and he's got 10 red zone targets, which is 8th in the NFL. So for me, that tells me that even though he is wide receiver 24 on the season, averaging 14.5 points per game, it's going to turn around. Like, this offense is too good. He's being targeted too much. If you're able to get him at a wide receiver 2 value, somebody like, honestly, I would take him straight up for Adam Thielen, Antonio Brown, Marquise Brown. I know that might be a little bit of a hot take for some people, but this offense is too good. He's too good. He's getting targeted too much for these type of numbers to continue.
I completely agree. And you hit on 2 points that I think are major indicators for buy low targets that you should be looking for. One, the massive target share that he has in that offense. And then 2, high powered offenses. You want people getting targeted. You want people on good offenses. Keenan Allen checks both of those boxes while underperforming so far this season. That is a perfect buy low trade candidate, Jay. I really like that one. The first player I want to talk about, and this one may seem a little bit obvious, but I'm just putting it out there, is the quarterback Patrick Mahomes for the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't have a ton of stats to throw at you right now. I'm just going to say this is Patrick Mahomes. Before this season, he was the unanimous best quarterback in the NFL, and I don't believe that talent went anywhere. He has been struggling a little bit this season, but even with the numbers he's been putting up, he's been a top-tier fantasy starting option. Where the trade opportunity comes in is this past week, Patrick Mahomes put up less than 10 fantasy points for only the second time in his career. This kind of opportunity does not come along often where people are doubting a quarterback of the caliber of Patrick Mahomes, and you may be able to acquire him for much cheaper than ever before. And what I envision for the rest of the season, this Chiefs offense is too good to have Patrick Mahomes underperform like he did last week, rest of season. I think he's a perfect, I almost say buy low, but he's probably still going to require a hefty price tag to acquire him, but it's going to be less than you would have paid prior to this season or any of the weeks prior.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. It is a buy low. It's not necessarily a buy low compared to other players, but what his normal value would be. Like you said, before the season, he was considered the top tier QB1 no matter what. And I've said this a few times now. He's now seen more in the light of as the same level as the Lamar Jacksons, as the Josh Allens, the Kyler Murray. So he's definitely got the talent. He's got the weapons to just jump right back into that status as the QB1 overall. I love the pick. I think he's a great buy low option.
Completely agree. Jay, who's your second guy?
So I'm going to go back to another stud wide receiver that is disappointing so far this season, and there's a lot of similarities. I'm going to go with Calvin Ridley. First off, the team throws a lot. Like I said earlier, they are tied with the Chargers for the third most passing attempts per game. They have the 10th most passing yards, and they only have 2 less touchdowns on the season than the Chargers do. And they've already had their bye as well. So they have all these passing stats, even though they've already had one less game than most teams. He has a 27% target share, which is top 10 in the NFL. He's got 31 receptions, which is only 8 less than Allen. And he missed an extra game. He took a game off. It sounds like it was for his mental health, which good for him. But he's only played 5 games because they've had their bye and he took a game off. 52 targets, 6 less than Allen. And he's averaging 14.2 points per game. The thing that I really like about both of these guys, that even though they're disappointing, they're still wide receiver 2s. They're not like killing your team. This is the floor for these guys. If they get things going, they still are both top 10. Honestly, especially Ridley, I think that he could potentially be a top 5 option. So for me, you're buying both of these guys at their floor, and they have a sky high ceiling.
I love that one, Jay. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I really like the comparison you drew between Keenan Allen and Calvin Ridley. They have similar profiles for why you should be targeting them right now. For our last player, we're actually going to stay on the same team. And this one is not a buy low. This one is a buy high, but I think this player is going to just continue to produce at this level, if not higher, rest of season. And that is the tight end for the Atlanta Falcons, Kyle Pitts. He is coming off an unreal game. So this is definitely a buy high. 8 targets, 7 receptions, 163 yards in the last game that he played it. Absolutely insane. For a little bit more stats about this tight end and how he's been performing, he has the 3rd most receiving yards by a tight end in the NFL right now. And like Jay said, the Falcons have already had their bye. That's with one less game. And he just broke the record this last game for the most ever receiving yards by a tight end through their first 6 games. Now, what I love about how Kyle Pitts has been used in this offense so far is he's not being used like a typical tight end. The vast majority of the snaps he's played in the last 2 games have come from the slot or come from out wide. He is lining up as a wide receiver in this offense and being targeted like he is one. You don't see that from tight ends very often. I am so high on Kyle Pitts right now. I think even though you're going to be paying up to get him, it will pay dividends for you rest of season at that tight end position.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's a lost art of buying high. Everybody's always, trying to, as soon as somebody, like Cooper Cup, everybody's saying, oh, sell high, sell high. Just enjoy the ride. Like, you got the value on the guy. Take the production that he's giving you. I love that with Kyle Pitts. And also, too, trading for guys who have already had their bye, that's an extra game of production, especially if you're able to give up a guy that hasn't had their bye yet. So that's something, as we're getting it, this is only the 2nd week of buys. You probably have 1 or 2 more weeks where you might be able to pull off a trade like that, where you get an extra game of production. So that makes a really big difference.
That's going to be it for our Week 8 trade targets video. The 4 players that we think you should be trying to target right now are Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Kyle Pitts. There are many others, but those are the ones that we settled on to tell you about this week. We will be back next week with some more trade targets with you. So make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel not to miss that. But until then, we are out of here, everyone. And good luck in your fantasy matchups this weekend. See ya.
See you on another time.